Tampa real estate girl, Katrina Madewell, a full-time passionate, out-of-the-box thinker with love for home ownership kind of realtor with nearly 30 years of combined mortgage and real estate experience. Tune in every week at this time for expert advice on everything you need to know about home ownership, finance, maintaining great credit, building wealth, and making your everyday life better, and how you can be financially successful today and tomorrow. Remember, love where you live or let Katrina fix it. Now, here's your host of Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell.
Well, good morning. We are so glad to be back. I am so excited to be back with you guys. I haven't seen you guys in 2 weeks. My voice is like totally revived. I had a chance to rest for a couple of weeks and really enjoyed having fun the last hour. And we have a special guest that it was a last minute plug-in because that weird little flu going around bumped the guest we had booked for this morning. I'm so happy that it did. And I'll tell you why. I told Pat I wanted our listeners to guess who it was because they've been on the show before. And he's like, no, just tell them. I'm like, all right, fine, we'll tell them. And we have Mr. Adam Talley.
Yep, Adam Talley with Talley Insurance. I'm not the special guest. I wish I was, but, unfortunately.
You're special.
I'm special, but a different kind of way. I'm more special like Pet.
All right. So, I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves. They'll do a great job at that. They always do. And then the fun part about today is you guys have no idea what we're going to talk about.
No. Nothing at all.
All right.
Neither do I. So
who are you?
Good morning. My name is Mike Fasano. I'm the Pasco County Tax Collector.
And?
Good morning. My name is Tim Coet. I'm Mr. Fasano's Assistant Tax Collector for the Pasco County Tax Collector's Office.
We are so glad you are here. Thank you guys for coming back.
Thank you for the invitation.
And
this is great.
Very happy birthday to you.
A few days ago, yes.
Mr. Fasano, I know we're a little late.
Okay, yeah.
We're in the same week,
Actually,
though.
3 days late, just so you know.
I wasn't here. That's when your
right.
birthday. So, all right. So, I was perusing your website a little bit last night, and I was thinking, what would be a good, real quick, impromptu planning for the show tomorrow that we could talk about? And I thought, this is going to be an excellent conversation. You're going to love it. And then I added a little spin in towards the end. So the topic for today's show is going to be services you never knew the tax man offered.
Absolutely.
Oh boy,
this is
you
great.
like it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We love it.
I pulled some stuff, and you guys can chime in and talk and all that stuff. So the number one thing that I think people think for the taxes is to pay, your property taxes, renew your tag, and then secondary, probably driver's license, right? That's what people think. That's all you can do at the tax collector. Then maybe go get your. You were there when my 16-year-old was getting his license, and he was off for the road test.
Yes. Did he pass?
Oh yeah, he passed
good.
first time around.
Excellent.
He's I won't tell you that he's been driving for a while, but a little stinker. Yeah, he's good. He's a good driver.
A lot of practice.
Did your insurance go up?
I think so. I don't want to look at it. I think it did. I don't want to look at it.
You don't look at Adam when
there'll be less Panama trips in the future.
I tried to get Adam to look up my policy, and he's like, nope, you're staying with your carrier you're at. You got teenagers. I don't want you.
No, I did not say that. I love insuring teenagers. I just thought for you, because of the carrier that you're with, it was set up pretty better. It was set up pretty well
I've had
for
that carrier for probably 15 or 20 years, and they no longer insure homeowners, by the way, in the state of Florida, but they do still have my auto policy and a life policy, and it's kind of hard to touch that. When you buy a life policy in your 20s, you can't buy it the same.
Question. I see that Geico has commercials that they do property insurance. I think probably a lot of people are not aware of that, but I didn't know. Do they insure policies in Florida?
So they're using so for their homeowners policy, it's usually a third party.
I mean homeowners, yeah.
Yeah, so their homeowners policy is a third party carrier.
Gotcha.
So we have the same carrier that they're using for a lot of their homeowners.
So they're basically brokering it out.
Yeah,
right,
for the most part. I
yeah.
mean, that's and you'll see that with a lot. I mean, USAA, same thing.
USAA is not insuring stuff here.
Well, on their homeowner side, they did, it was through a different carrier.
When I was in the Florida legislature, one of the things that I tried to push was if you're going to have auto insurance and you also have property insurance, that you could not just offer auto in Florida, that you had to offer both. Because
I think they should.
Because
yes.
we had insurance companies like the Allstates and the State Farms that were saying, no, we'll just do auto because that's where we make money.
Well, I'll tell you a story, and I don't want to throw one under the bus because I do have State Farm for my auto policy, but I had my homeowner's insurance policy with them for years, many years before I even knew you. And my insurance agent knows, I'm in the field. I know what's going on. I've been doing this for a long time. And I don't escrow. So I pay my own taxes and insurance. And what happened was I got canceled for non-payment. But then they sent me back about 4 or 5 months worth of payments.
Interesting.
And so I called my agent and I go, you want to explain this to me, like how I got canceled for non-payment, yet they sent me back a pretty hefty amount. Yeah, that was way more than what it should have been. And I said, they're just pulling out of Florida, aren't they? And he goes, yeah, they are.
So a lot of that was happening back in the early 2000s when everybody was pulling out. And you're right. There is the state said that you have to maintain a certain amount of homeowners policies or, they won't let you ride at all in the state.
And I don't know what that number is, but I would venture to say it's probably not high enough.
Yeah. And it was back then, I remember very well.
When was that? What year? Roughly?
I know that Charlie Crist was governor, so that had to be, in the mid-2000s, I think.
Okay.
And I believe,
so that was
in fact, he was the one that led the charge because we had State Farm that had come out and announced that they were leaving the state as far as homeowner insurance policies.
So that had to be after 2004, right?
Oh, yes.
When all those storms rolled through.
Yeah. And that's when we said, what a time out here. Okay, we're going to pass some legislation. If you're not going to write your homeowners, at least some policies, then you're not going to write auto. Boy, did they change their minds real quick.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's not, if you're going to take the risk, take the risk. Yep. You're not in it for just, we know you have to make a profit, but you have to pay the risk. That's
and what they do, what the state farms and the all states do, they create what they call Florida companies. So they can come before the legislature and say, well, we're losing money. You're not losing money.
Yeah.
If you take everything into one pot nationally or the world, that you're making billions.
Yes.
But then they'll focus in on Florida. Well, in homeowner policies, we're losing. But what they've done is they've created State Farm of Florida, all state of Florida.
It's, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I think I've shared with you guys in the past. I started my career when I was 18 on the mortgage side, and so when I did that, I remember when Hurricane Andrew was rolling through Miami. At the time, I was writing loans, and I was writing loans in South Florida. Wow. And do you know, Adam, when a hurricane gets what you guys call in the box, we better have that sucker bound, written, ready to go, premium paid, nothing. Do you know that they one of those big giants that you just mentioned actually canceled my customer right before the storm, mailed them back their money and said, we're not insuring you. And it wasn't long after that they pulled out of Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, it's disgraceful.
So it is funny though, because you mentioned it. I bet if some of them could go back and take the auto back too, they might be doing it, because a lot of companies are losing money on auto in Florida.
Yes.
So it's
and that's because we have a lot of uninsured drivers.
A lot of uninsured drivers.
We see them every day in our office.
I don't even know how that happens, but
and I would say we are probably, I don't know what New York is like, but we're probably us, New York and California, but we are one of the most litigious states.
I don't know. In New York, that's where we got stuck because my cruise left out of New York. We were there. People literally had these bumper guard things on the end, and one of the Uber drivers was saying, "Oh, if somebody hits you, the cops don't even come. They would laugh at you if you called the cops and somebody hit you."
Oof.
You just bounce off.
Yeah, literally. Like there's a little running bar in the back. Anyway, all right. So some of the services that will surprise you that the tax guy offers, and you can tell me if it's just your office or if maybe some of the neighboring tax collectors also offer this as well.
I don't want to tell you if the neighboring ones are doing. We'll lose money. We want them to come to Pasco.
Are they all the same?
Pasco.
Can you answer that? Are they all the
No.
same?
Not necessarily, no. Some, for instance, in our office, we have 5 offices in Pasco County. We offer concealed weapon permits in 2 of our offices. Yeah,
so how does that work? So,
well, let me give you a quick history. Years and years ago, the tax collector, as you know, under the state constitution, was to do one thing. That was to collect property taxes. You also have the Department of Motor Vehicle. Eventually, the Department of Motor Vehicle, through the legislative and the governor signing bills, it started reducing their responsibility and bringing it down to the tax collector, which was a great idea. So way back then, it was the Department of Motor Vehicle that would give you your driver's license, renew your auto registration. That changed many, many years ago to where the tax collector took over both of those responsibilities. From there, we then began even going farther. We do concealed weapon permits through the Department of Agriculture because that's where that
so
goes
how
to.
does that work? I have mine,
Yes.
but I did a private class with somebody I know that was qualified to teach it. With my network of people, we got enough people together
Did you
to
pass the
actually
first
hold
time?
a class. I did.
Oh.
And but I remember having to go somewhere else, to the Department of Agriculture.
Well, that's because you applied through them.
Okay.
You probably went down to Tampa. No longer have to do
So
that. You
tell
come
me-
to Pasco County Tax Collector offices. We have 2 of them that deal with concealed weapon. If you've done the test, the course, come. We'll print it right there for you. Out the door you go.
Do we have to live in Pasco to do that?
No,
So
we welcome you. Come from Miami.
You print my card?
Yeah.
You print the card?
we'll print
Absolutely.
renewals.
We'll print. No, we don't print the card. We print the card if it's a renewal. If it's a first-time app, you'll get the card from Tallahassee, but you'll get it a lot quicker.
Oh, good, because when my picture, you should see it. For some reason, it didn't dawn on me they were going to take my picture. I had
Yes.
a migraine that day and no makeup. The picture is awful. I can't wait till that thing renews.
Yeah,
Love it.
All right, this is Tampa Home Talk. When we come back right after the break, we're going to talk about services the tax man offers that you're not even aware of. When we come back right after the break.
Hi, this is Aaron Davis, owner of Hillsborough Title. Hillsborough Title is a local, family-owned title agency here in Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. We've served Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Call us at 813-712-8888, 712-8888, or visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com, thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
I'm Katrina Madewell with Keller Williams Realty and Tampa Home Talk. And for more than 23 years, we have been helping homeowners sell. Flexible terms with the rate to sell it yourself. Let my results speak.
They were able to get us a full price.
Welcome back to Tampa Home Talk. This is Adam Talley with Talley Insurance, joined by Katrina Madewell with Tampa Home Talk
That's
and
me.
Keller Williams. And why don't you introduce our special guest?
Our special guest. Take it away.
Good morning, Mike Fasano. I'm the tax collector for Pasco County. Pasco proud.
Give me a little, this is Mike Fasano, and you're listening to Tampa Home Talk.
This is Mike Fasano, and you're listening to Tampa Home Talk.
And Mr. Tim Collette.
And Tim Coet, the assistant tax collector for Pasco
The
County
one
Tax
that makes
Collector's
the
Office.
magic happen, right? Behind the man. He never takes any credit
Kind
for
of a
it.
tag team effort, if we're
There
all
you
honest
go.
with ourselves here.
We have 200 outstanding
We
employees
do.
that we're
You
so
really
proud
do.
of.
You know, every time I've
The
ever
best.
been there, they're amazing. There's not really, everybody has bad days, right? But there's really
Not
never
in the tax
anybody
collector's
grumpy.
office.
Like they're always in a good mood, nice.
Yeah.
Tim will take
My
a
mother
great
always-
driver's license photo for you.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We actually are one of the few offices that will take as many as you want
Yes.
until you're satisfied.
Really?
Yes.
We will.
Yeah.
And you can do that for anybody. They don't have to live in Pasco, right?
No, the only
No.
thing we say is on Saturday.
Not on Saturday.
Saturday, we have 2 offices open, 2 of our 5 offices, our Gulf Harbors office on US 19, our Wesley Chapel office right up the road here on Pett Lane. Those offices are open on Saturday, 8:30 to 12 noon, Pasco residents only.
You know-
so we want to give Pasco residents that special day for
Is
them.
that common to have offices open
There's
on
no
Saturdays?
there's no other
No.
tax collector office open on
Wow.
a Saturday.
So I heard from the grapevine that there was a non-Pasco resident in one of the tax offices.
Yes.
And you got in like this heated debate and were as nice as you could be until they pushed you and you're like, this office is closed unless you are a Pasco resident on Saturday.
Did I say that?
Something like that.
Until they donated $5 to our monthly charity. You know?
Oh, there you go.
No.
All right. So a couple things I pulled on here. I have no idea how it works, so I was
Yes.
hoping you could enlighten us. But this was some of the things I pulled. And if I forgot anything or it wasn't on your website, make sure you mention it as well. But one of the things on there was birth certificates. So how
Yes.
does that work?
Well, we a few years ago started issuing birth certificates. In the state of Florida, you have if you were born in Florida, you can go to the Department of Health for a birth certificate.
Right.
They asked us, now the tax collector's office, if you would be willing and wanting to take over that responsibility as well. And it helps a lot because when people come in, you have to get now ID compliant, as you know. We talked about that, where you have to have that gold star up in the right-hand corner of your driver's license. And as you know, Homeland Security has said, come October of 2020, unless you have a passport, military ID or driver's license with that gold star, you're not getting on an airplane.
Yep. And they have
probably,
big banners
and
posted
probably
at
on
the
a
airport.
cruise too, somewhere down
Could
the road.
be.
You know?
Yeah, could be. It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. And so we have people that need birth certificates, and if they were born in Florida and they don't have one, we can print one right there. There'll be a cost. Now, remember, everything
I know,
you do.
but still. So why would you even want to agree to take on that responsibility?
Because we can use the revenue and we can help our Pasco and outside of Pasco residents if you were born in Florida. It helps a lot because somebody will come in, they find out, man, I'm not ID compliant. I need my birth certificate. Where were you born, sir? I was born in Florida. Well, we can print your birth certificate right now. Get that ID compliant. Get that gold star.
Now, what's your process for verifying? How do you know they are who they say they are?
Well, they have to have, of course, identification. Normally, most people will have. They'll have to give us information as to who their birth parents were, things like that. Maiden name of their mother. Remember, all these things are on your birth certificate.
Right.
So and I'm sorry,
if I may, the Department of Health gives us pretty much their form. So it's their form if you're walking into the Department of Health to get a birth certificate, or if you're coming into our office. And then they give us access into their system. We process the birth certificate just as they would with that application, and that gives us the proof that we know who it is.
So behind the scenes, they say, look, we'll give you a little extra revenue if you can take this off of our plate. That's how it works?
Now, just so you know, the Department of Health still does this service, but it relieves them of a lot of people coming into their office because they do so many other services, the Department of Health.
I can tell you will not get the same service going into the Department of Health as you would going into the Pasco County Tax Collector.
But we enjoy doing it because we're helping people, and two, it does help with some additional revenue. We talked about this before. The tax collector offices get no money from the state, the federal government, or the county. We generate everything to keep our offices going, pay the salaries of our employees with the money that we generate from the services we provide.
And you do it under budget.
Well, we give back money to the county every year. Thankfully, we've been able to do that, meaning that you're
operating well. That's what that means.
We're operating okay.
Yeah.
And the good thing is,
here's the thing, and this is what a lot of the higher ups and a lot of the political parties and in Congress don't know, is you really should have a budget and it should actually balance, right? Like in our particular households, we can't really spend more than we make. We have to make sure that household budget balances, and it should be the same in every office. And it's not the case in some of the higher ups.
The great thing is in Florida, you have a state constitution, of course, like every state, but in that constitution is an amendment that every budget must be balanced, meaning that even our legislators in Tallahassee cannot have a deficit. That would be in violation of their constitutional oath.
So how does it happen?
They have to balance the budget. So if they have X amount of dollars to spend, they cannot spend more than that.
So what are they cutting?
Much better than living in Illinois where they're a hot mess.
If right now the economy is so good that they have we have a $95 billion budget. When I was in the legislature, when I first got elected to the legislature back in 1994, we had a $35 billion budget. Fortunately, now we've had some down years, as you know, in the real estate world. At those years, we've had to cut. They had to cut programs.
Yeah, I mean, your taxes come down. Yep. Everyone's stuff come down. I got a question. It's off the cuff. I want to ask you before I forget, because I've wanted to ask this so many times and I've always forgotten. Yeah. Tell me about the roads. Like, why is it, like, in my particular neighborhood, and I know if you're in a CDD community, a lot of times that's covered by that. But, like, in some communities, the roads are not part of the standard, like, Pasco. And I'm only asking because my husband works for the city of Tampa.
Property taxes do not go to public roads in public communities.
So it's basically not in the budget.
That's correct.
So,
for instance, and not all CDDs. I live in a CDD. Tim lives in a CDD, but those are public roads. They've been turned over to the county.
Okay.
So the county is responsible for those roads. They'll come in and patch a hole, maybe solve a minor issue with those roads. But when those roads have to be repaved, redone, the homeowners will be assessed X amount of dollars on their tax bill over so many years to pave that road.
And not every municipality is like that. When people
call us and say, I'm paying all these taxes, why is my road looking like this? Not any of those dollars go. Now, they'll go to roads like Little Road, Trinity Road.
Major thoroughfares everyone's using.
That's correct. But not to roads that are public roads within communities.
Or private roads. Like our particular roads are private in my subdivision.
Not all of us have that glory, that opportunity to live in a private
and even when you turn it over to the county, like a lot of people are complaining about that, but I was so glad when we got assessed for road paving because I'm like, it needs to be done.
Absolutely.
What I didn't understand is why. I guess the bigger question is, wouldn't it make sense to collect like an extra penny on sales tax and cover that, or is that just a nightmare?
Yeah, I think we have to be careful. As far as roads are concerned, because there are so many roads in Pasco. Heck, there are roads in Pasco County that are still dirt roads that are not paved. But again, that's where people chose to live. Mm-hmm. But you live
from a lending standpoint, I'll just tell you that can be a major nightmare. Yeah. Like there's times you can't get a loan if you're on a dirt road.
Absolutely.
Well, there's times I can't get you insurance if you're on a dirt road.
Right.
So.
But it's important for people to know that their property taxes do not go towards repaving the road out in front of their home.
Yeah, so back to my question, any particular reason why we wouldn't add a 1 cent tax and include that so all of our roads are nice?
Are you advocating to increase taxes?
I'm just asking a question. It's just a question. Like, is it a nightmare for you?
Well, you'd have
Does it not make sense?
Well, one is you'd have to put it to the voters.
I understand, yes.
We do have a penny for Pasco, just so you know. That money does go towards, like, our schools, our emergency services, our sheriff's department. There are some counties that I think Hillsborough County, just as you know, did a Hillsborough. They increased the sales tax there. It's a sales tax to go for transportation purposes.
Right, and they need to, really.
Yeah, And that was voted in by the people. Just
they
so
need
you know.
to. There's no public transportation really worth anything there.
Well, by increasing, what they need to do is do something with that. But
by increasing the sales tax in Hillsborough County, some of our Pasco people are paying the consequences, as you know, because sadly we've gotten it straightened out, but we still have people who have a lease on their vehicle that live in zip codes that are the same as some in Hillsborough County. The leasing companies are still charging these people live in Pasco 8.5% when they should be charging them 7% on their monthly lease.
Kind of a big deal, right? Like if they're like, where's that money going?
It goes to Tallahassee.
So they're sitting on money they shouldn't be.
Well, hopefully they're not giving it back to Hillsborough. I will say the Department of Revenue and Dr. Zingali, who's the new executive director, has done a phenomenal job in trying to fix this problem. But the issue you have is you have 5 or 6 or 7 zip codes in Pasco that are also the same zip codes in Hillsborough.
Yep.
And these leasing companies, whether they be motor vehicle leasing company or another leasing company, don't want to take the time to know where their customer lives, that they don't live in Hillsborough. Don't be charging them 8.5%.
Well, it's probably a system issue too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know why. I never understood why half of Lutz is in Pasco and Hillsborough, half of Odessa. Like, a lot of these cities, they really should be split.
And when you go buy a vehicle in Hillsborough County, you need to let them know that you live in Pasco, because you're going to be charged the sales tax based on where the car is registered, not where you buy it.
And you could just buy in Pasco, which is what I did.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, so when we come back, we're going to talk about a few more things and some services that the tax man offers that you never realized they did. If you've never been to the Pasco office, even if you live outside of Pasco, you can come visit, and you will see what an amazing job they have done at their office. We'll be back here for Tampa Home Talk in just a minute.
For WeatherTight windows by local manufacturer PGT Industries. Call WeatherTight Windows today, 813-908-0131, or stop by their showroom on Columbus Drive.
Welcome back. We're so glad you're here. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell.
And Adam Talley with Talley Insurance.
Assistant Tax Collector for Pasco County Tax Collector, Tim Couette.
Good morning, Mike Fasano, Pasco Tax Collector.
And I will not call him
the tax man.
He says, "Can you please not call me the tax man?"
We don't decide what your taxes are. We just collect them.
You're right. Yes, I know.
I wish I could reduce everyone's taxes, but I can't. I'm the guy who just collects it.
You're like, don't shoot the messenger.
Right.
I just have to
and we get a lot of people. And I think they just reach out to us because they don't know who else to reach out to. Right. So we try and help them.
You know, it's almost about that time where we should have Mr. Gary Joyner on to talk about the trim notice. Because that's really important. Yes. A lot of people don't know. Most people have no idea why they get that in the mail.
Yeah.
So we'll save that.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, Gary would be the perfect person. He can explain all of that to you.
All right, so a couple more things that you guys do at the Pasco County Tax Collector's Office. Going out of business buyer sale.
Oh,
tell me about that. I had no idea that was even on there.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
I didn't know that either. we have a lot of people that, in fact, don't know about it, and I understand. In Florida statute, if someone is going to have a legitimate going out of business sale, they have to get a permit from the tax collector's office.
I had no idea.
Now, isn't that wild? And we probably have one per year, which tells me that either one company's going out of business, or a lot of people don't know about it. And so it's very difficult to enforce. It's just a knowledge. I mean, we really don't have any enforcement power, and no one should be penalized for not getting
So what's a permit cost for going out of business?
I have no idea.
I guess if you're going out of business, that's the least of your worries, right?
I assure you, if you're going out of business, we'll give it to you for free, you know?
So also, the other cool part is you actually return money to the CDD.
Yes. In fact, that's a great question.
You know I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's related to homeownership.
That's right.
When we have dollars left over at the end of the year, see, the tax collector cannot bring any dollars cannot keep any dollars going into the next fiscal year. Fiscal year ends the last day of September, the new fiscal year, October the 1st. So our budget director has to figure out what's left over, and then we return it. We return it to those who we've been collecting taxes on behalf of. The Board of County Commissioners, SwiftMud, Mosquito Control, and whatever other agency might be. And then, of course, the CDDs. And so CDDs get a small percentage. Like, for instance, last year we returned to Pasco County Board of County Commissioners. I delivered them a check for about $2.6 million. That is what we were able to keep.
Wow.
But we were also able to send a check to each CDD based on the percentage of what we collected for them. And we put on our website, Tim actually did a great job, and I'll let him explain even further, where people can go who live in a CDD and find out how much money the tax collector has returned to that CDD over what? How many years, Tim?
It goes back to typically to the inception of the CDD.
And
how far
it
back
sits
we try
with them,
to go.
right? Like whoever's manning or holding on to the.
Oh yeah, it goes directly back to them. I went as far as with my CDD to ask what they do with it.
Good for you.
And it goes
You should.
right back into their, basically to their general revenue to offset the next year's budget, almost like a security fund is the way they use it.
A lot of misconception too. People think the CDD can never change, and that's just not accurate.
Not only that, a lot of members, not all. Remember, CDD board members are looked at as no different than a county commissioner, a school board member. They're elected. They're elected for 4 years. Now, they're elected only within that community, but many people don't realize
they're
that
elected by the people that live there.
That live there.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Okay.
Once there's a certain percentage of homes that are developed in there, everything is now turned over to the elected body, the people that live in that community, and you'll have 4 or 5, most of the time 5 people on a CDD. 3 of them will come up in 2 years, and then another 3 come up 2 years later.
Yes.
2 more come up 2 years later. They come up for re-election, and they come up for election. And I would encourage everyone to know who their CDD board member is, because they're the ones that are deciding what your CDD rates are. If they're going up, going down, what they're spending money on.
When do they do that? Do you know?
CDD boards probably have, I know in my community they have a board meeting every month.
Okay.
They're great people. They do a wonderful job. They're very open. You can go to the seat. Every
This should
CDD,
be open, right? So people live in the community.
Absolutely. You have the right to get up and speak. No different than going before a county commission or a school board meeting. Except it's just for that community, whether it be 2,000 people or in my community, 800 homes or something like that.
And, a lot of people don't know, little fun fact on CDDs, a lot of times it's broken down into 2 different things. Sometimes the debt portion and the maintenance portion.
That's correct.
And some of these older communities like Cheval, which was kind of one of the first ones to do the CDDs, their debt portion has actually gone away.
But they're still paying CDDs because
maintenance.
When you pay a CDD, it's not all going to pay off those bonds for the infrastructure that was created.
But that's the debt portion we're talking about.
That's the debt, right. Yeah. It's also going, like in my community, we have a guardhouse, we have a gates, we have other things, maintenance, things like that. A percentage of that goes towards it. So people need to understand that when you move into a CDD, you're still going to, when those bonds are paid off, 30 years from now, you're still going to have a yearly CDD to continue the maintenance.
Some are debt only. I mean, I had one in Richmond Place, and my guy was very number oriented. He's like, "Did you know I could pay off my CDD?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "If you have a maintenance portion, that's going to stick. But I think yours is just debt where you are." And he said, "Yeah, no, it is. I'm going to sell. I'm going to pay it off, so my taxes are lower for the next buyer." And I'm like,
"Wow!"
But the only problem you have there is, let's say you pay off your CDD.
He was moving to Austin.
What happens when you sell that home?
If you pay it off?
Yeah.
Well, technically, you're supposed to give that credit back to the buyer or to the
good
seller.
Luck and God bless. I mean, now you're telling the person who's buying your home, oh, by the way, you owe me an extra $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000.
But here's the thing: this particular seller wasn't doing it for that reason.
Understand?
So if you think about the standard CDD community, and in this particular case, there wasn't a maintenance portion; it was only debt. But you're taking the taxes on a really good-sized home, probably about $4,000-ish a year, probably down to low threes. That's a really good selling point for your home. And someone could maybe qualify for your home that might not be able to qualify for a neighbor's home because you paid off the CDD.
From that standpoint,
we haven't been in that market, right, for a while where you've had to think about it because we've been in a seller's market where sellers kind of get the pick of the litter. But as markets shift and change, and they will, sellers are going to have to do things to be more appealing and attract buyers. And that'll be one of the things I'm sure we'll talk about in the future on another sale.
That's a tip of the day right there.
I know, yes, that's it.
Good
and
stuff.
The PACE program, of course, you guys sort of...
I was just thinking about that. The PACE program, remember, if you have a PACE loan and you go to sell your home, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and VA will not absorb that PACE loan into the next mortgage that the new buyer is acquiring.
Yep,
so
it goes with it as a lien.
Absolutely, and that means it's going to you're going to have to pay it off, or it's going to be paid off at closing. You're going to get less money back.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely things that you got to pay attention. And we actually did a full 2 hours on the PACE program. We were able to. It was a fluke where we had one of our guests cancel. We already had you scheduled. We ended up rolling for 2 hours.
I was drained.
It was an incredible show, though. Really,
I mean, that day, and I still learned a lot.
Here's the thing: it might have drained you, but
I'm only kidding.
If you have somebody that comes in, you can always say, "Hey, we talked about this for 2 hours. If you want to know a ton about it, here's the podcast.
Yep.
Search for Tampa Home Talk, and you can listen to 2 hours about the PACE program."
The Tampa Bay Times, I believe, is working on a major story about the PACE loan program.
Oh, good.
And so we're very excited about. They've done a great job in trying to get information out. Again, we call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's why we require every homeowner who's going to get a PACE loan to sign a disclosure that the contractor has to provide to that homeowner.
Yes.
Nothing can begin until that disclosure is given to us.
Yes. And then the last thing that I kind of saved the best for last, unless there's something you guys thought about that I didn't mention.
Oh, there's quite a few.
Any other service? What else did I forget?
Fingerprinting.
Yes, that's a good one.
You do?
We do fingerprinting. We took that responsibility over from the sheriff's department. I'm going to let Tim talk about it because he knows all about it.
So essentially what fingerprinting is for live scan fingerprinting. And so there's tons of different avenues you need to get your fingerprints for, whether it be volunteering for an organization, if you're going to pass the bar, if you're going to be a pharmacist, if you're going into the medical field, if you're going to be real estate, if you're going to do stockbroking. So we offer that service. We believe we're cheaper than anybody else. It's $25 if you just want to come in and get it electronically submitted or walk out with a hard card, or if you want both. If you just want one service, it's $20. If you want both, it's $25.
So they do still do the actual fingerprinting. It's not just all digital.
No, it's actually not ink rolled. We don't do any of the ink rolled. It is all digital now, and that's what we do. So we offer that at two locations: our Gulf Harbors and Wesley Chapel office, and we have you in and out of there, and we have your prints submitted for your background check, and off you go.
And those are both of the locations that are open on Saturdays
for Pasco residents.
That's correct.
Yep.
There you go.
Offer that service on Saturdays.
But just think about it. And I want to be careful because we're not in competition with the private sector.
Right.
But $25 is the best deal going to get your fingerprints.
Let me tell you, when I was young, my uncle was a Hillsborough County deputy, and he worked at the Morgan Street Jail, which used to be downtown. I don't think it's even there anymore. But he literally took me downtown to get my fingerprints at the jail. And I was like, I don't know about this place.
But it's true, though. When I became a stockbroker, I had to go to the sheriff's department.
Yep.
They're rolling my hand here with the ink and everything back then.
Yep, I had ink too. I remember very well. It was not the most fun thing to do ever.
But $25 or $20 is the best deal in town, and we will do anyone that comes in, more than happy to do it, and it helps us. It helps us generate some additional revenue to give back to our community.
And you guys have got the customer service nailed. You just do.
We appreciate
you
that.
really do.
Well, one of the things, and you know, when we started 5.5 years ago as tax collector, been reelected a couple of times since then. Starting salary was $9.25 an hour.
I saw that.
We are now at $15 an hour.
Good for you.
Our turnover is practically nil. We have a waiting list of people that want to come work for us. And we also believe that what we've done has encouraged other government entities in Pasco to try and follow suit.
Yeah.
You know,
so many times, like in the private sector, like with what we do, we have to deliver amazing customer service. And if we don't, they're going to go to the next real estate broker down the street.
Yep.
And so that many times was not the case for elected officials. And I'm glad to see you guys really raise the bar and change that. Mm-hmm. It's been very refreshing.
I appreciate that.
So a couple of things. I don't want to miss this part, and I did miss it for so long, and shame on me. But I spent some time on your website looking around, and every single month, you guys choose a charity of the month.
That's correct. We do. In fact, this month it's Lauren's Kids, which is a great program. We started that 5 years ago. We choose a different Pasco County charity. The money that we raise, we have the buckets out there. People put the money in the buckets, change or whatever. We've raised over $600,000 for Pasco County charities that are being used. It's once a month. We average 7, 8, 9, 10,000. The sheriff's office, their K-9 unit, we raised almost $50,000 for them.
That's incredible.
Our customers are very generous, and our staff love it because they compete a little bit against each office.
They do.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have fun with that. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Charity of the Month when we come back, since it's June and they are your Charity of the Month. And then we'll talk about what some of those dollars you guys were able to raise actually help buy and what they help do.
Sure.
And then how can people actually give? We'll talk about that when we come back right after this break here on Tampa Home Talk. If you got a question or you need more information, our off-air number is 813-377-2775.
Are you looking for...
Welcome back. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. Thanks so much for joining us this hour. We've had a really great time talking to Mike and Tim about services the tax collector's office offers that you never even knew about. And they will do it very much so with a smile. And if you don't know or you haven't been in there, you do a lot of stuff by mail. You guys do some amazing charitable work. How long have you been doing this, and whose idea was it? Tell me some more about that.
Well, I started in little over 5.5 years ago, and I thought, we need to promote something here. We see almost 50,000 people a month in our 5 offices. How can us help the community? Because I'm a big believer that everyone needs to do their best. And I think government needs to do that as well without raising taxes or asking for additional money.
We see 50,000 people a month, and they each gave $1.
And it's not, well, good luck and God bless.
But I'm just saying, if they did.
But let me tell you, it's not only we see 50, we also get all kinds of mail too, because people are renewing their registration or things like that. So we started off with promoting a license plate, our veterans license plate, right, Tim?
I believe it wasn't a bikers.
Oh, the bikers. That's right. Yeah,
just to start,
right. Just to start slow, and we thought, wow, this is really good. So we now. We have a waiting list of nonprofits in Pasco that want to
partner with you guys.
Exactly.
How do you get on the waiting list?
Get a hold of Greg Giordano at our office, who's our assistant tax collector who handles communications and special projects.
Just text or reach out to us, 813-377-2775.
There you go.
We'll get you connected with him.
Yes, absolutely. Greg Giordano,
377-2775.
727-847-8076, and just ask for Greg. He will sit down with you, find out about your nonprofit, and we'll go from there. It has to be a Pasco nonprofit, though.
Of course.
And it should be.
I don't want anything from Miami, but... So anyway,
maybe you can encourage them.
So anyway, each month we choose one or have chosen one. The offices get together and they put beautiful banners together and all kinds of things. Like this month it's Lauren's Kids. Lauren's Kids is a program that was started years ago, who's Lauren Book, who's now a state senator, to help children who were sadly abused. In many ways.
So it could be physical, sexual, any type of abuse.
Exactly. Emotional, to educate people, for counsel individuals, young people, whatever it may be. beautiful program. They also do a license plate. So we put up buckets, and people will dump their change or sometimes put more. We've had people put in up to $1,000, in fact, a donation. Guy came in, absolutely,
What charity was that for?
I don't remember.
I think it was breast cancer. We do breast cancer every October.
Yeah,
and
we always do breast cancer in October. Yeah.
There was a gentleman who donated through his business. He saw it, and he was impacted in our office, and he decided to give us a couple $1,000.
So do they have to have either their checkbook or cash with them, or is there another way that you guys can
They can put it on their credit card, whatever, because it goes right through our system, and then that money is divided, separated out. And put into the charity at the end of the month. We figure out what it's going to be, and then we deliver a check to that. They get the check almost immediately, maybe a couple of weeks later. Like I said, we've raised over $600,000 for many different Pasco charities.
It's incredible. Over $500,000 you guys have raised, knocking on $750,000 just by asking people, will you give a little something to this charity we're supporting for the month?
It's a lot of fun, in fact. It really is. And we've helped our seniors. We've helped, like I said, the Sheriff's Department with their canines. We have helped children. We do. Next month is an exciting one because we do the backpacks.
Oh, I love that.
So we raise money.
We always support that. So we'll have to do something with you, Mike.
Absolutely.
Let me figure out what the schedule's like for next month. Maybe we can even do a remote broadcast.
Oh, yes.
From your tax collector's office. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun?
That'd be fun. That'd be
great. We'll wear backpacks.
We'll wear backpacks, and we'll bring backpacks, and we'll do a drive for backpacks.
I love it.
As well.
Have you ever seen a tax collector that cared more about his citizens than Mike?
No, I have not, and that's why we love having Mike on. And
Thank
I
you.
will tell you, if you listen to people, and I've had other political parties on, but they're very selective. And the beauty of what I do is this is paid airtime, so I can have on whoever I want or whoever I don't want. I know Beasley might have a little bit of a controversial opinion on that, but I will tell you, I don't talk a lot about politics on the show. I don't. I've had people blow up my live Facebook stream on politics, and I'm like, this is not a political, like I stopped almost mid-sentence and like, this is not a political show. We do not talk about politics because I just don't want to do it. Like,
absolutely.
But there's many people that do a lot of good, and we don't really ever talk about political party. Like, we just want to know, what are you doing for the good of the community? And I think more people should vote that way.
And it's that's great, and we appreciate it. When somebody walks through one of our 5 offices, we don't ask them if they're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent.
Yes.
We serve them.
Yes.
Because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we were elected to do, to serve them, not to find out what party affiliation or ideology they have.
Live in Pasco unless it's Saturday.
Unless it's Saturday.
Yeah.
That's right. Bingo.
Somehow along the way, though, we've lost that. Like how you're supposed to vote for the person that you feel best serves you, your family, your business, regardless of what political party
Thank you very much.
It'll come to surface. I can't wait for an independent to get elected as president. I'm waiting for that day.
It'll happen one day. I really believe that.
So
yes,
you got to tell me a story, both of you. Tell me about one of these charities that you worked with that you're like you had no idea, I'm sure, when you started this 5 years ago, that you would raise over $500,000 to support these charities. You had no idea, I'm sure, when you started. But give me an example or a time, or share a little story when you've worked with one of these nonprofits. You guys raised money and they were able to buy or do or give, or what was the impact of that? You got a story?
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is we have a great sheriff in Pasco County, Sheriff Nacco, and he's got a real heart to make sure that we're protected. And one of the ways that he focused on that was through the canine program. Canines, for most people, they don't understand. They come from overseas because they're bred in a particular way so that they're effective as a canine, if that makes sense. Well, they cost quite a amount of money.
Very expensive. They're not cheap.
I believe, if my numbers are correct, about $10,000 just to get the dog here. That's not the training. That's not everything else.
I've had some clients that were retiring deputies and served on the canine, and very much wanted to take their dogs with them. And there was one dog that was almost in retirement. She was able to take that one, but not the other one. He was too new and too young. So
this was a couple of years ago, and we decided, let's go ahead and raise some funds for them. Let's come behind our sheriff and let's supplement what he's trying to do at the office there. And we were successful over a couple times, raising $50,000+, and the sheriff's great, and he wants to be able to share with our office the fruit of the labor. So in walks this Buster, and Buster's a bloodhound, and we didn't know this was coming.
How old was Buster at the time? He was a youngster.
Buster at the time was 3 months, maybe. Ears bigger, ears on the floor, and it was great for our employees to see the fruit of their labor.
So
and that's
that was
the one
what
that sticks out
Buster
in my mind.
came from a result of that.
Buster came from a result of that.
Mike,
real quickly.
we got about a minute.
Yes, ma'am. Feeding Pasco's elderly. We have a program in Pasco County that does the Meals on Wheels. This program, we were able to raise money to get people on the waiting list and be able to get that food in their home.
Oh, wow. Was it around the holidays, or when was that?
When we did the fundraiser? Yeah. Oh, gosh. I think it was over the summer.
It has an impact year-round, though.
Yeah.
Well, you're listening to Tampa Home Talk. This has been an exciting show, as always, with you two. We love having you on. Happy birthday again, Mr. Fasano.
Thank you.
Remember, love where you live, or we'll fix it. Welcome home. Our out-there number, 813-377-2775. Have a great weekend. Glad we're back.